then you have to fall in love with yourself. You've got to completely obsess over yourself. Let me explain why. What I mean by really obsessing and falling in love with yourself is loving yourself so much that you just want to learn about yourself constantly. Like, I want to know why I react and I respond the way that I do. I want to learn about my body. I want to learn about all parts of me. I want to learn just so much about myself that I never stop learning. It is a constant thing that I do all the time. You just really have this urge in you that just really wants to completely continue learning about you nonstop.
Everybody always going to say, like, get to know yourself, find, like, you have to know yourself, get to know yourself. You have to build an intimate relationship with yourself. And I actually said that in my last video because I talked about how to fall in love with yourself, but nobody actually tells you how that looks like. How do you get into an intimate relationship with yours? How do you actually get to know who you are, your likes, your quirks, your desires, your talents? And I'm going to give you 4 of the questions that I use that really helped me to get to know myself. When you're watching this video, I don't want shame to actually pop up in your mind. I don't want shame to actually live within you. I don't want you to start feeling tight and be like, oh my gosh, I'm in my I'm this age and I actually don't know who I am. You don't know how common this actually is. It's such a common thing. There's people in their 20s, 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s who don't know who they are and was never given the chance to find out who they are. They weren't given the chance to find out what their hobbies, their likes, their dislikes were, and they ended up just doing what society had taught them to do, what their family told them to do, what their religion told them to do, what their community told them to do, what their neighborhood told them to do, and they were never given the chance. They had to quiet themselves and block out who they really were. They weren't able to show up authentically. So this is actually I want to call it normal. It should not be normal, but it is so common that so many people became nurses, but they wanted to become artists. They became lawyers, but they wanted to become a traveler. They worked in film when actually they wanted to become a designer. There are so many things that we do in life because we weren't given the opportunity and the space to nurture those things within us. So in this video, I'm going to talk through how to really get to know yourself so you can actually pursue the things that you're supposed to pursue, but most importantly, to love yourself, because that's what it's all about. It's all about loving yourself. Nothing actually matters other than that. For any of these tactics and any of these rules, I got to know myself because I finally allowed God to show me who I was. In the beginning, I was being built, like Builder the Bear, by little parts here and there by every single person in my life. I had my nose being put by my dad. I had my laugh being put by my mum. I had my arms being put by my friends. I had my hearts being put down, whereas it been implanted by past partners and people that I had big crushes on. And so every single part of me did not actually belong to me. And so when these situations and people and opportunities came out of my life, I was left ripped apart. Just imagine a bear, like every single time when something left, that bear has nothing left. And that was actually me until it had to come to the point where I had to get to know myself. I could no longer rely on other people's passions, other people's joys, other people's likes and dislikes. I could no longer maneuver and walk in a way to make other people feel comfortable or to make other people like me. I could no longer move in this life looking for validation or approval. I finally had to be myself. And so if you see me tearing, I've just got like dry eyes. So if you see me doing this, don't repeat. So yes. So number 1 on how I got to know myself, I embraced isolation. I was one of those people that I just absolutely hated isolation. I've gone through several seasons of my life where I've been abandoned by the people that I've loved. I've been abandoned by my dad emotionally. I've been abandoned by my mom to contain or build a safe space for me. I've been abandoned by friends who thought I was too much, or I did too much, or I dreamt too much, or I talked too much, or I was too confident. I've been abandoned by past lovers, which I've talked about in my previous video, that I was in a toxic relationship and he abandoned me because I didn't look the part. I didn't look like the woman that he wanted to be. I didn't dress like her. I just wasn't the person that he wanted me to be. And because I wasn't that, I got abandoned. I was cheated on, I was manipulated. I was mistreated. And so I learned, after having all of these situations where people abandoned me, I became somebody who became attached to presence, attached to other people. In other words, you can say that I became anxious, but actually I became a fearful avoidant. Now, this is all like attachment style talks and jargons or whatever. And if you're familiar with that, then you know what I'm saying. But if you are not, and actually if you want to know more about attachment styles, put that in a comment and I will go make a video about the different attachment styles, how they appear in other people, and maybe I'll start a series on even how to heal from those attachment styles as well. But going back to the topic, I became somebody who was just feared abandonment. And so I tried my best to not be by myself, because I've been left so many times before. And so even though I had situations, I had friendships, I was in job roles that wasn't good for me and was actually making me sick or making me upset or belittling me or disrespecting me, I stayed. Because for me, it was so much better to be attached to something and somewhere than to be by myself, because I didn't know what to do with myself. The fact that somebody had chosen me was good enough. The fact that I got employed was good enough. The fact that that friendship group wanted me to be a part of their inner circle was good enough. But it got to the point where I was going through my spiritual journey, my journey with God. And for many of you, maybe you've gone through a similar journey, but you wouldn't necessarily label it as a journey with God. But he went through a journey with me, and he isolated me, and I had to come face to face with myself. What that looked like is that I had to face the demons and my past pains and the things from the past that I didn't want to uncover. There was a vault that I made sure that I stayed locked, but it was time to actually open it up. And so in this time of isolation, and I had no distraction, nobody was inviting me out, nobody was calling me, I wasn't going to dinners because I didn't have any money, I wasn't shopping because I didn't have any money, I wasn't going anywhere because all my friends had literally left me. And I had to get to know myself, but I had to get to know myself through God. But I was able to get to know myself through God because I was actually by myself. Just like many of you guys, you might be distracting yourself because you have all of these other things, like you shop, you go to dinner, you go to brunch, you have your boyfriend, you have your money, you get your holiday, and you are able to run away from the things that actually hurt you. And so that is when I started to build my relationship upon who he was. And that made me find out who I was. Finding him and loving him gave me a path, or took me down the path of actually finding out who I was. We live in a culture that actually tells us to distract ourselves from things that truly matter. And so we learn to actually be avoidant. We are an avoidant culture. But in this season of isolation, it gives you an opportunity to really get to know you, for you to face, like I said, to face those demons, to face those pain, those past pains, those past hurts, to actually give you a chance to look at your ideology, to look at your self-belief, to look at your belief system. Where did I learn some of these things? Where did I learn my self-hate? Where did I learn to dislike myself? Where did I learn to devalue myself? Who taught me that people come before me? Who taught me that I need to people please? Who taught me that I wasn't worthy of being loved? And it gave me a chance to really dig into those questions. And I hated it. I'm not going to sit here and say that, oh, it was a really good time and I loved it. I absolutely hated it. And I tried my best to avoid getting deep with myself. But I can now say that getting deep into myself has allowed me to face certain things in my life that's actually got me to where I'm supposed to be now. When I got into a season of isolation, I found out who I really was. I found out who I was without the opinions of other people and without their input. And I became a stronger person at that. My identity was solidified. So with number 2, I got to know who I was through God. For many of us, we are told who we are. People put labels on us. You are the caregiver, you are the family accountant, you are the procrastinator, you are the party girl, you are the troublemaker, and we start to build identities around these negative connotations, these negative characteristics that have been put upon us. And there were so many things in my life that I did not do because somebody had called me jealous, or somebody had called me stupid, or someone called me unreliable, and somebody had called me not worthy or not good enough. And I built my identity upon these words. But when I read the word of God, and he called me a child of God, and he called me the apple of his eye, and his favorite person, and the fact that I'm blessed and I'm anointed, I'm highly favored, in the beginning it was too hard for me to believe. But eventually life taught me a lesson. Was I going to believe these negative words that people had put upon me, or was I going to believe the one who was speaking good about me? The one that when everybody drove away, when everybody went away, when everybody thought I was too much and left, he stayed. There's times which I didn't have to read the Bible, and I still felt as if God was telling me who I was. He was still breathing life into me. Because most of us, we need to start taking off the labels. Some people called you names because they did not like themselves. Some people called you all of these horrible things because they hated themselves, because somebody else has spoken negatively about them. And so they wanted to perpetuate that same pain onto somebody else. They were actually talking to themselves, but yet you were the mirror in front of them. So many people who have spoken ill about you is because that they actually did not care about themselves, did not value themselves, they did not appreciate themselves because somebody else made them feel that way, and they just wanted somebody else to join in the party. There's a saying that misery loves company, and that's what people do. Hurt people. But it's time that when you dig into the word of God, when you dig into people who speak life into you, they're able to go and speak a new identity over you. And third of all, I started to embrace doing things by myself. Like, I was so used to doing things with people. Again, I was the eldest daughter. I was somebody who was the people pleaser. I did things with people. Even if I wanted to do things by myself before, somebody wanted to come with me. If I wanted to go to dinner, I couldn't go by myself. If I wanted to go to the art gallery, I always had to take somebody with me. If I wanted to go to the theatre, somebody else wanted to go with me. And so I didn't really have much chances to go and do things on my own. And sometimes I just ended up doing things that other people wanted me to do because it made them feel more comfortable. But I started to actually, in that time of isolation, it started to actually look into the things that I wanted to do. Where did I want to go? Some things that I didn't even know that I would like, but because I was exploring them, because I didn't have anybody telling me I don't want to do this and I don't like that, it was just me, myself, and I. If I go somewhere and I don't like it, I can just leave. Somebody's not saying to me like, oh, can we stay another 5 minutes or 10 minutes? I get to leave. I get to say that I don't want to be here. I am going. And so I started to embrace going to places and doing things on my own. I started to get comfortable with going to breakfast on my own, brunch on my own, dinner on my own. I started to actually get dressed up, put my makeup on, look nice, and actually enjoy myself. I started to take myself to the art gallery and theatre and cinema on my own. I started to actually look at the things that were important to me, go to conferences on my own, and I was able to actually meet people there, friends in which I have today, because I decided to go somewhere on my own. When you would never get to know yourself if you're always doing things for other people to make them feel comfortable. Oh, I go to brunch that I don't really want to go to brunch. I drink, but I don't really like drinking, but everyone's drinking around me. I don't actually like, you might not actually like, sorry guys, you might hear my washing machine in the background. You might not actually like half of the things that you do, but maybe you just got conditioned because you're a black girl, you're an African girl, you are a girl from London, so you're supposed to like these things. These things are supposed to be of interest to you. But who are you when you're not being conditioned? Who are you when you're not with everybody else? Who are you when there's not a rule to it? Who are you when somebody else isn't dictating your actions and the things that you're supposed to do? So learn to actually explore who you are, because the question is, I was asking myself a lot, that if I could do anything today, like I had the money or whatever, what would I want to do? And I'm telling you, it wasn't brunch. It wasn't a day party. It wasn't. It actually was like, I'm going to go to the park and I'm going to paint. I'm going to go to the gallery and I'm going to go to the cafe and get a chai latte. I'm going to go and like walk around London and sightsee and take photos. That was me. That was the true essence of who I was, not that person who had been molded and shaped by the people and places around me. So again, these are some of the things that I was doing to actually build a relationship with myself. But there are 4 questions that I had to ask myself to get to know myself. Number 1 was, what about my current life am I finding unfulfilling? And what actually fulfills me? When I looked at my current life, because I think that's actually, let me go backwards. Some of us, when we want to find an answer to a deep question, we tend to want to go as far back as possible. Let's look at when we were 3, let's look at when we were 7, let's look at when we were 12. But sometimes the answers are in your presence. If you're someone that's unhappy now, if you're someone that's stuck in this moment, if you're someone who feels as if life is just a whole big mess, there's a clue to why you feel like that right now. So the question to ask yourself is that, what are you finding so unfulfilling right now, and what would actually fulfill you? I wasn't able to go into my weight loss journey until I realized that I wasn't happy being overweight. I wasn't happy with my eating style. I wasn't happy with with how my sleeping habits, and that was what was unfulfilling me. I wasn't happy at the fact that everybody called me because I was reliable, but yet I didn't think I had reliable people around me. You have to ask yourself that, what is so unfulfilling about your life right now? Because if you don't know what is unfulfilling in your current life, you're not going to know what to fulfill it with. Because you're only able to go and take something out until you actually acknowledge what the problem is. Second of all, what in your life do you want to see a change in? For so many of us, we say that I just want to change, I just want to change, I just want to change. But what about your life do you want to change? Not everything. You might not want to change everything about your life. You might want to change your communication style, how you relate to people, the fact you maybe want to get rid of being a people pleaser. Maybe you want to change your career. Maybe you want to change, be in a different friendship group. You're not going to know how to change something if you don't know what you want to see a change in. Ask yourself a question. I think I talked about in one of my earlier videos where I got a pie chart and I listed out the 7 different areas of life. I'm not going to go too much into it, but I divided it into personal life, friends and family, romantic relationships, finances, health, passions, and faith. I think that's 7. I might have got it wrong, but the video is there. I'm going to link it in the comment box. And I divided it and I started to grade it from 0 to 100. And I'm going to be very honest with you. When I did this, most of it was on 20. But because I wasn't acknowledging it, I didn't know that this was the problem. I got to the point where I realized that I wanted to change a lot of areas in my life. So until you define and get clarity on what you want to see a change in, you're not going to have clarity for the vision ahead. Third of all, what are your values? For me, I was doing things on the go. There was no intentionality about so many things in my life. I was doing things because I just always did them. I was on autopilot. And maybe you're someone that's on autopilot. Maybe you're somebody that just did things because you've always done it and maybe there was expected of you. But it gets to the point where if you want to make better decisions, you're going to have to know what your core values are. If you want to go in the right direction, you have to know what your core values are, because your core values will determine who you pick as friends, who you will keep around you. It will help you to vet people in your life. It will help you to vet the people that come into your life in terms of relationship, friendships. It will help you to know what your career path is. Maybe you're more of a creative. Maybe you are somebody who's like maths or science. Maybe you're someone that wants to travel and don't want to actually work a 9 to 5. You want to travel and be travel content, but you're not going to know that until you know your values and your core values. For an example, you might value family. So you know that yes, you want to be ambitious, but you have there's a gap. Not a gap. There's a stop. There's a peak to what you would do because you value family. There are things in which you will say no to because you value having a good relationship with your family. So you're not going to take on every opportunity. If a value is for you, if a value of having a career goal or moving up the corporate ladder, it might be something that you might want to consider. You're then going to say yes to every opportunity that comes your way because you want to succeed in the corporate space or in your career. If you are somebody that believes in your faith, there are just some things that you just won't do. For me, sustaining out of marriage, or the language that I use, profanity, or even the fact that Sundays are my days that I go to church. It's just that simple for me because my value is my faith. Find out what your values are, and that will help you to find out who you really are. Because I think sometimes we just go with the flow. Society tells us this, people tell us this, but what do you actually believe in? Are some of the things that you think that are important to you are they really that important to you? You probably find out that they really ain't. And last of all as well, who do you want to become? Write that down. I believe in journaling, and I believe in it is because that you don't have to be logical. You don't have to be real when you journal. When somebody asks you what your dreams are, you don't have to be like, okay, I know I can only make 30K. I know I can only make 60. I know I can only own a house with 2 bedroom. No, write down your dreams. Write big. Who do you want to become? Do you want to own a jet? Do you want to be a travel content creator? Do you want to be a chef? Do you want to be a producer? Do you want to be an activist? Who do you want to become? Because even if you don't become that person, at least you will aim high. It will give you a blueprint it will give you a clue that maybe you're not living the life that you've been wanting to live. Maybe you've been making choices that were safe. Maybe you've been making decisions that will make you comfortable. But when you dream, you start to realize that if I want those things, I'm gonna have to finally change. And like I said in the previous earlier in the video, I think I said earlier in the video, you can't love somebody if you don't know who they are. In my previous video, I talked about how to finally fall in love with yourself. If I meet somebody today and I had a 5-minute conversation with them, I'm not going to fall in love with them. Well, I've done that before in the past, I'm not going to lie. I've had a few crushes, had a few conversations, looked at them across the hall, across the corridor, and I'm just like, that's going to be my husband. That's called limerence. But we're not going to get into that today. I might do a video on that. If you want to see a video on that, let me know. But realistically, we're not going to love somebody who we do not know. And it gets to the point where we have to get to know ourselves. We have to find out who we truly are without the masks, without the pretense, without the labels, without the accomplishments. Who are we? So I really hope that this video has helped you to ask some in-depth questions. I'm going to put a link below on 30 questions. They range from easy, medium, and really in-depth to help you really find out who you are and to rediscover yourself. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you, I don't know why you're not subscribed yet, but why don't you like, comment, and subscribe? Like, comment, and share? All right then, until the next video. Bye.